I'm hanging out with a bunch of gods. And we're talking about how Labor Ready murdered homeless people and thought it was funny and fun. And we're talking about how managers got addicted to the murder of homeless people working there. And the atmosphere of murdering the weak and defenseless. And I, of course, found out they were murdering and shit, and I hated the company. I, as a beautiful dead god, wish nothing but death upon them all until it's the most sickening, unrealistic death ever known forever. I am a god that's proud of myself. I never allowed crime in any labor-ready building I was ever in. God damn, I'm a god with a reputation. But I could only protect the building I was in. It was that fucking bad. I wasn't resurrected. I did not have unlimited almighty power, and I wasn't resurrected. I only had what I had. And what I had wasn't a lot. So I had to take care of homeless people while a company wanted to murder them all the time. So, and don't get me wrong, they understood. So this is what happened. I was at the Labor Ready in El Cajon, and there was a man, and he was working with wiring, but in an unsafe, inappropriate way. So there was a guy working, and he was a homeless guy, and they put him in unsafe wiring and more realities. And I kept telling him how to do it right. But he was a homeless person that wasn't very smart, but he really needed money. So he said he knew how to do what he didn't know how to do. But that was okay. He was working at the El Cajon Labor Ready with a dead god at the El Cajon Labor Ready. He was good to go if he would just listen to me. But he wouldn't listen to me. And he wouldn't do it right. Well, he started looking like somebody who was going to die. The contractor was highly illegal and unsafe. So, of course, he didn't give a shit or even notice until it was kind of scary as fuck. So the contractor noticed when the homeless person was kind of in a very scary predicament. And then all of a sudden I tapped the contractor on the shoulder and I said, wow, nobody lives today because of you, huh? But they'll always live because of me. And I went and I made sure he didn't die. So, I'm pretty proud that I'm a dead god that stands for what I am. And everyone needs to die for what they've done. And there is nothing else, but they'll talk forever. That's what criminals do. They'll never tell you they murdered me for a living. They'll never tell you that they poisoned me until my body parts fall off. They won't tell you a goddamn thing. But they need to die for all of it because I'm God. So, and that's Michael Patterson's wife possessing me and my brain through all the weird, gross avenues to say she's God. And she has to die in the worst ways ever known, beyond all God death ever known, for being such a slimy sicko in my brain when she knows she's guilty of everything ever known against a dead God and lying about all of it. I'm only saying that in front of everyone because there's a really scary I am God reason, and everyone's going to know pretty soon. That's fine. So back to my story, because they jump in and out of my brain all the time, like raping murderers who had a right to be smart. And they have never put legal or appropriate things in my brain. So that just tells you the United States knows they raped and murdered me. They've never done anything appropriate in front of everybody the whole time. Or never done anything appropriate in my brain or anything else the whole time. They're just blatant antichrist crime going down. But back to the story, because I am trying to tell my story. So that was one incident in El Cajon. That's going to remind a lot of people about a lot of things when I was around, because life was very God is here unrealistic when I was around. And then changed back into just a human life where they missed me when I was gone. Then there was the Thousand Palms Labor Ready. So I worked at the Thousand Palms Labor Ready. It reminded me to try to run away from the I didn't know it was the United States doing this to me. Fuck you too. I didn't know this was the United States doing this to me. Back then, I thought it was random corruption, random instigating corrupt cities or something. I didn't realize everybody was in on it back then. So, I ran back to an area I had lived in thinking I was trying to get away from corruption. Not realizing I was dead and drugged and poisoned too much and way too stupid, because if the United States was involved, they were going to follow me everywhere, and I was fucked. I figured that out over time, but not right away. As I resurrected, recovered, and more. And they still try to keep me dead or brain dead so they can win, but like, they don't understand how it works once I'm resurrected, and so then that's their problem. You know what? They just need to die for all of it. But no one cares about the dead. The dead are supposed to bury their own dead, and I'm tired of being subjected to also just add more death into their souls, and more death into their souls, and more death into their souls, to add 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 more death into their souls, and more. And maybe one day I will have finally freedom, but no peace, which is why the world will not either. You know, but so I was at that Thousand Palms laborating, and I worked for a guy named Craig. And during working there, I saved a lot of people from a lot of medical emergencies and a lot of life and death emergencies. So I told you one in El Cajon, but there was quite a few bad. Well, there was quite a few companies that just don't follow, basic. Like, I don't know if I agree with go safety overloaded weirdo or something, but like, you got to follow basic stuff. And, there was companies and contractors, they don't even follow basic stuff. Just totally unsafe places. But as long as I was around and the workers could listen to me or would listen to me, it was pretty good. The only time is when the workers won't listen to you, you got to take what little powers you have and move hell and high water. Because I was not going to have a crime connected to anything when I'm around. I'm a god. Ugh. The only crime that will ever be around when I'm around, the devil was doing it, and there was nothing I could do about it or something, because it was part of the battle of good and bad or something. And during the good and bad battle, when I'm nothing, I'm not bucks up. When I resurrect, I own everything, and paybacks are horrifying. So the devil did kill Jesse Arias, and I had to be subjected and be there when it happened. And the devil made sure I sat and had to be subjected to Jesse Arias's death because he wanted to worship and acknowledge that I existed. Paybacks are unlimitedly, insanely, impossibly, horrifyingly unsurvivable. Beyond all gods ever dead or more. But that's just a joy that finally paybacks are here. But so unless I could not stop it, I did everything to stop everything all the time, whether it was my responsibility, had anything to do with me or not. So and whether they were really even worthy or not, because I just didn't want to be connected to all of it. So if the devil wasn't trying to force bad things, I just tried to make sure there was no bad things wherever I went. Because the devil already does enough with corrupt countries and more, and I didn't need it. I didn't need anything worse, and I was already working for a murdering company. That was a murdering company. Probably ended up best friends with the United States through this whole thing. But, so, then I was in Thousand Palms, and I saved a whole bunch of things. But the one story that's kind of fun that stands out, there was a contractor, and that contractor was behind in his work. So he was slave driving. But he was trying to overcompensate with Gatorade and stuff. But he was slave driving because he was way behind. And they all hit medical serious emergency. And he could tell. He could tell they were hitting medical emergency. But he would not let them go to an emergency room or something because he was behind his schedule. And I told him, let these workers go to the ER and then just get some more workers. And he said, well, no, that might cost more. And I was like, so you're behind on your work and what? You don't have a lot of money? And the guy was like, I'm behind on my work because I hit a financial hard life in my personal life. So my personal life hit financial hard lifetimes, and now I'm behind schedule because of my financial personal problems. And yes, I'm trying to struggle out of like a bad pit I'm in. So I was like, oh shit, they're in medical emergency. You can tell they're having these heat stroke things. Like, you can tell. And he was like, yeah, and I was like, you better tell me an answer that doesn't say, wow, I would kill people over money and keeping your contractor business going or something. Like, that's just seriously, buddy. And he was like, I don't want people to die. I don't know what to do. And I'm struggling so bad. I was like, okay, fine. I'm going to take care of this. But you need to remember that God is God. And from now on, just tell God that God needs to take care of it as long as Bonnie is working at this location. Okay? And he was like, yeah, I will always say that God needs to take care of it when I see that they probably should go to a doctor. Thank you. And then I fixed them all. And they were just fine. And ended up coming back for their paycheck. Now, don't even ask how many managers of Labor Ready murdered homeless until it was exciting. And I bet they had a real joyride with the United States, who is excessively, sickeningly murder happy. But no one's going to tell the truth. But as they die in front of everybody, I guess probably it doesn't really matter, huh? Because God will make you pay for what you do in life. That's how it works. And it's a good thing. So, the moral of the story? I don't think I had one.